Hello, everybody, and welcome to Common Sense with Curtis Scott. And I'm here today with Greg Wilhelm for Judge of Ellis County 443rd District Court. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Curtis. Thank you for inviting me in.
Yes, sir. It's good to have you. It's actually great to have you. I've been doing this with all the people running for positions here in Ellis County and District 6. So if you could, though, just go ahead and give us a little brief intro bio of who you are and what makes you, well, we'll talk a little more. Just give us an intro of who you are.
Okay. I was born in the oil fields of West Texas in a little town called Brownfield. I was raised by a law enforcement father, and we moved to Kermit, Texas, where I spent my formative years through junior high, eventually landing in Palestine, Texas, in East Texas, where my dad went to work for the prison system, where he served as a prison guard for the remainder of his career. Attended Baylor University, and went out into Dallas and worked in business. And then in 1995, my wife and I packed up and moved to Virginia Beach, Virginia, where I attended graduate school and law school at Regent University. Obtained a master's in public policy along with a law degree from Regent. And when my wife and I got married, we moved to Waxahachie. We were here from 1990 to 95, and then we came back, bought a house in Midlothian, and we have been here ever since. I've got two great kids and an amazing wife, and I love this county.
Awesome. So how many years you say you've been here in Midlothian?
We were here all but probably close to 20 years in between Waxahachie and Midlothian.
Okay. All right. Well, I've got a couple questions I'm going to ask you, and we talked a little bit before we came on, and I'll have them at the bottom of the screen for all the viewers to see. And if you could just tell us, though, why are you running for Ellis County 443rd District Judge?
I'm a former trial court judge here in Ellis County, where I served in County Court at Law number 1. And also former elected county treasurer here in Ellis County. And I've been back in private practice since 2011. And over 18 months ago, a firm out of Fort Worth by the name of Canty Hanger affiliated with our firm. And they're the second oldest law firm in the state of Texas. And they saw the growth in Ellis County and wanted to join in here. And as a state bar president, when Judge Ermatinger announced her fact that she was going to resign, or not resign, but not seek re-election, she sent me her resignation letter, and I sent it out to the bar and didn't think much more about it. But over the coming weeks, I began getting calls asking if I would consider running for judge again. And just at a crucial time in our county when we are having massive expansion of growth, I feel like that there needs to be a judge on that bench that has been a judge before, that has been a presiding judge, and can work to increase the efficiency and help handle the growth that's handled here in Ellis County. And I feel very well equipped to it, and I understand the process, and we'll be able to start day one and hit the ground running.
All right. So what do you feel makes you the best candidate for the judge of District Court 443?
I think part of it is that I've got 25 years of legal experience, that I have been a presiding trial court judge. I've been the guy that Midlothian Police and Ellis County Sheriffs knocked on the door at 2 a.m. to get search warrants. I have presided over multi-week jury trials. As an attorney, I worked with, and though as a citizen, sometimes I question the FBI and the Justice Department, but I did work with them on a child pornography ring that got its fingers into Ellis County. And through that time, I, as an attorney ad litem for children and for parents, I fought to protect the rights of both. And then as judge, at that time, Ellis County Court at Law, which still does, has concurrent jurisdiction with the district court in civil matters and family matters. And so we would hear all varieties of cases, from first thing in the morning could be an appeal from the JP court on an eviction, to a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, to a severe sexual abuse and case, to probate matters and guardianships and elder abuse. Everything that you could think of, that court has handled. And this court needs somebody like that, somebody who can come in and who has experienced almost every aspect of the law, who has been worked on not only picking juries, but working on the side of helping to preside over those jury trials, to having done bench trials where you're having to make the decision instead of a jury. And I believe that experience and my complete dedication to the bounds of the Constitution make me an ideal candidate for this position.
Awesome. So you kind of said a little bit of the stuff here, but the next question is going to be, can you explain, it's more of a explaining the role of Ellis County 443rd District. I know there a lot of people just think, oh, you just hear trials and everything like that. You mentioned search warrants. If you could just explain it as simple but in detail that covers each little thing that the judge does.
District courts in the state of Texas are trial courts of general jurisdiction. Out in Cherokee County, you may have a district, one district court for 3 counties, and they would handle everything in regards to felony criminal cases, which clearly at the moment is what the 443rd focuses on, to divorce cases, cases involving title to land, election contests, civil matters, and while most district courts, as I said, may handle both criminal and civil, in these more populated areas, many times there's an agreement between the courts, as we have right now, where you have the 378th, which handles family law, you have the 40th, which primarily handles civil, and you have the 443rd that primarily handles criminal. Now, the judge of this court is going to have to be ready at any time to handle any of those areas of law. You may do a CPS removal. You may do a civil trial restraining order to keep someone's house from being foreclosed on. All of those things, you've got to be able to be prepared. And so that's what a district court does. And in Ellis County, when this court was formed, it was half civil and half criminal. And through the years, the judge, by administrative agreement, decided to specialize the courts in those areas.
Okay. So speaking about the court and everything, what do you feel or what do you believe is the most significant role of the Ellis County judge or 443rd District judge?
I believe that it is to make all rulings within the confines of the original intent and the boundaries of the Constitution, whether that be a civil matter, whether that be criminal, that every individual who comes in there for a trial is innocent until proven guilty. And the judge becomes the arbiter of many of those things, because you have to make sure that every individual is treated fairly. And even those who may have committed the most heinous crimes, you can't allow extra charges that don't apply just to be thrown on there because the state wants to get a prosecution. In the same respect, you have to make sure that the harshest, most stringent penalty for crimes that are appropriate to the situation are applied. That doesn't mean a 20-year prison sentence because somebody was found with 5 marijuana cigarettes in their car. This means equitable justice for all who come in there and equitable punishment. And at times, if you have issues where there are matters of mental health that have been involved, the judge is going to have that information presented to him or to her in order to make that decision and see how that type of situation would be treated.
Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to the next question. And you talked about some court cases. Approximately how many cases does the court handle in a year?
In discussion with individuals within the county, I believe there were over 2,000 cases filed last year in that court. And there are a number, and I don't have the exact number, of cases that are pending in that court. And that's one of the things that the new judge is going to have to do. Is going to have to sit down with the district attorney and is going to have to say, all right, what are the cases out there? What are the ones that need to be, that you have plea agreements, but you can't get into court? And then to be able to work with the other courts, work with the 378th, work with the 40th, to be able to get that backlog taken care of so that people aren't sitting in jail for longer than they should be, and that they can get that speedy trial that they deserve. And so the one thing is that the number of cases filed is unfortunately not going to stop. And I believe in the coming years that the legislature will most likely want to create another court in Ellis County to make sure that we don't have people that are being sitting in jail for years trying to get their cases heard.
Yeah, the rate of growth we have right now, I know it's been kind of crazy. As an officer, we're seeing crime double, triple because the city doubled in size. And then you have all the traffic coming through our city. So you see a lot more DWIs, a lot of things just doubling or tripling with that kind of, yeah, it's just crazy. As an officer, we see a lot of it. So we talked about the cases. So one of the things, I worked Irving PD for a while out in Dallas County, and there were some judges that I feel didn't do things very fairly sometimes. And I might have had a judge just drop a case because of she couldn't really give us a reason. But would you ever support not accepting or dropping certain types of charges?
If the charges are verified, if they're based in law, they're not something that someone pulled out of their ear, then no. But there may be times whenever a defense attorney brings up some very specific information that says, Your Honor, these are the facts. These aren't one. And I, as an attorney, move for a dismissal. There's got to be a basis for it. The judge just can't reach out and grab that person and say, you're free, you're not, you're free, you're not. You've got blonde hair, you got black hair, you're this way. It has to be equal. They can't do it on their own because you undermine the whole process. And the phrase that I have used for a couple of decades is the level of justice that we end up giving those who may be the most guilty is eventually the level of justice that we're going to give the most innocent. We can't raise a charge because we don't like somebody, and we can't lower a charge just because we do like them.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and like I said, I worked Dallas County for 8 years in Irving, and we saw quite a few cases where the judge and the prosecutor and stuff like that didn't get along, and lo and behold, a case got dropped, and you're like, why? They wouldn't even give you a reason. But
well, that's the reason that judges symbolically wear that black robe. It is to completely be independent. That's why Lady Justice has a blindfold. And all of these things are things that we hear around July 4th, but it is true. Justice has to be blind as to the creed, color, status, and class of situations.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate that. So we'll go ahead and move along to the next question. And so it's kind of a two-part question. And you spoke on this a little bit, but do you believe the Constitution and the Bill of Rights are the supreme law of the land? And what is their significance for the judge of the 443rd District Court?
It is without doubt, without question, the supreme law of the land. The problem has been that we've had a judiciary around the country and in many counties in this state that have tried to make that Constitution flexible, that it could go outside those bounds, that they try to find rights and duties and obligations that aren't there. And that's why, as a foundation, we can build upon that foundation and make sure that our statutes are in line with that. But we have to make sure that that Constitution is honored each and every day, even when we may not like the outcome. And that's what I was saying before. A judge can't propose a sentence to someone where there's not the evidence and where it is unconstitutional. Now, there is a great duty on the other side for the prosecutors to make sure that their case is together and that they've got the right evidence and that they don't try to file someone that has thumbed their nose at them over the years. But it is completely, you hear on in the news media and you hear on television about somebody gets off on a technicality. Unfortunately, sometimes that technicality is the law. And if that law is unconstitutional, then the attorneys need to do the work to make sure they bring that proper pleading before the court so the court can rule on it. I had a gentleman years ago who didn't like the fact of the way a father's rights was going to be terminated. They couldn't find the father. They thought he was in Amarillo, but they weren't sure. But every step of the law was created. And the attorney said, Judge, you shouldn't order this because it's not constitutional. And I said, you haven't made that argument. You haven't shown me where it isn't. And right now we have to move forward. So the way the system works is that everybody has to do their job.
Yeah, it's definitely a time right now in our country that we've seen this, and that's why I asked that question. Is we're seeing, I mean, it's on the news right now where courts are saying certain things, and so that's why I asked that question. And we don't really see a whole lot of that stuff here in Midlothian, Ellis County, Waxahachie, but it could be coming here. And like I was saying earlier, going north of the Ellis County borderline, you go into Dallas County, and it's a lot different. So,
well, and this is the problem is we've also heard in the news where you hear of a state district judge in another county making a ruling that can affect the whole state. And that's something, this is just not a court whose rulings can affect Ellis County. You could have a matter that comes before you that could have repercussions throughout the law, and you have to be prepared to know that and make sure that when you make those decisions that they are within what the Constitution says.
yes, sir. Well, I really appreciate all the questions you've answered. Appreciate your time. So I kind of give this last bit of time here for you to give a spiel of why people should vote for you and what makes you the candidate they should vote for. So you've got the next few minutes if you would just like to give your campaign speech, you'd call it.
Thank you very much. As a candidate for the 443rd Judicial District Court, I come to this position with 25 years of legal experience, having touched almost every aspect of the law during those 25 years. I have served as an elected official, so I understand the role of government and how government maintains the county of Ellis, how they maintain things. I served as Ellis County Treasurer. I served as an appointed and then an elected a trial court judge here in Ellis County. I have been a small business owner. I know what it is to make a payroll. I know how to make things work efficiently, and that's something that needs to continue to be brought into our courts as somebody who has that skill. And over 25 years, I have strengthened those skills more and more. From a statewide perspective, I had the honor of serving at the request of former Governor Rick Perry on his Juvenile Justice Advisory Board to work on how can we help recidivism in juveniles so that they don't become the misdemeanor offenders and the felony offenders. I also was chairman of his Parental Rights Committee, which helped to make changes in the Code of Criminal Procedure that could help both parents in certain situations in custody. I have done multi-week jury trials, one of the longest in Ellis County being a 5-week jury trial that involved a case involving Munchausen syndrome by proxy, which had at one time potentially over 10,000 pieces of evidence and over 250 people on the original witness list, went for 5 weeks. I have had to look at men and women who have abused their children and terminate their parental rights. I've had to see the struggles that those children have gone through, and I've been able to experience the joy of helping them find a family and presiding over an adoption so that child had a new life. Through my experience, I bring to this court what it needs. It needs somebody who is committed to the bounds of the Constitution, who has the extensive experience, not only as a judge, which I was, as a county official, as a small business owner, and as an attorney. And it is my belief that the decisions made in a state district court affect not only the citizens of Ellis County, but also of the state. And so through my efforts, I will be committed to protecting the rights of citizens of Ellis County, to protecting justice, and ultimately to protecting Texas. I appreciate very much. If you want to know more information, please go to wilhelmforjudge.com. And remember, early voting starts February 20th and runs through March 1st. And the primary election day is March 5th. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Curtis. And I just wish the best to everyone. And thank you for this service.
Yes, thank you, sir. And like he said, everybody, if you can share this, click like, all that stuff. But number one, you've got to get out and vote. Encourage your friends to vote. If they're Ellis County residents, tell them to go vote and go listen to all the candidates. And don't just pick one because of how they look or this or that, but listen to what they're saying and what they believe. And I really appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you for the time, Curtis, and the opportunity.
Yes, sir. Everybody have a good afternoon.
Take care.